Next this evening, he's just completed 7 swims across the 7 seas for one reason. Lewis Pugh took on the challenge to show people the world's waters are changing. He says they are currently in a state of crisis. He became the first person to complete this expedition by swimming for 8 hours up the Thames today, from where I'm pleased to say he joins me now. Thank you for talking to me. We'll talk about the 7 seas in just a moment, but take me through the swim on the Thames. What was that like in comparison?
Well, the previous swim was in the Arabian Sea, so there's a vast difference between swimming in the Arabian Sea and swimming in the North Sea. The North Sea was cold, it was rough. I just swum 8 hours up the River Thames with a headwind, so from a swimming point of view, quite challenging.
And why did you decide to end this expedition at the Thames Barrier?
It was a symbolic, the decision was symbolic. The Thames Barrier was built 30 years ago, and when it was built, to prevent London from flooding, the scientists estimated that it would be used about 2 or 3 times a year. Well, we all know that this year alone it's been used 48 times to prevent London from being flooded. It's an important structure. It's a structure which had vision. It's a structure which ensured that London hasn't been flooded. And what I'm saying to policymakers around the world is that we have to have that vision now, because the oceans are changing, and I've been campaigning in all these 7 seas for us to set aside big sections of them as marine protected areas, which is essentially national parks in our oceans.
What were some of the highlights of swimming those seas?
Can I start with the lowlights? I mean, I swam in the Mediterranean, the Adriatic, the Aegean, the Black Sea, the Red Sea, and in all those seas, the biggest fish which I saw was literally like this long, 30 centimeters long. The majority of the fish which I saw were just the length of my hand. I was shocked by it. I didn't see any sharks, and sharks are obviously crucial for ecosystems. I didn't see any whales, I didn't see any dolphins. These areas are amongst the most polluted and most overfished seas in the whole world. What was the highlight, though, was going into the Red Sea and then swimming across a marine protected area where underneath me was beautiful coral of every single colour and description. Underneath me were tropical fish, beautiful colours, orange and green and blue. And it just shows what we can do when we actually protect the environment. Just 2 kilometres away from that marine protected area, underneath me were old tyres, was bottles, was tin cans, was tyres, and it was like a watery desert. And so this is why I've gone out on this campaign. It's to say to world leaders around the world, we need to set aside big chunks of our oceans now for protection before it's too late.
An incredible adventure and a very clear message from you this evening. Lewis Pugh, get some rest, and thank you very much for talking to me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching the ITV News in London. Still to come, why there's more to East 17 than East 17. The government's to create a £5 million fund to help reward people who recycle their household waste. The local government secretary, Eric Pickles, has pointed to the success of a scheme run by Windsor and Maidenhead Council, which weighs wheelie bins and gives residents vouchers to spend in local stores. Vanessa Francis reports.
It's an old way of doing a new thing. A share of £5 million will be available to councils who have weekly recycling collections, and they'll use it to bring in reward schemes for residents instead of punishing them for not recycling. The first scheme of this kind was introduced to Windsor and Maidenhead 4 years ago. Residents have their recycling weighed and are given points which can be redeemed for shopping vouchers.
The recycling rate's gone up from 34% when we first started to 45% now. It saves us about £1 million a year in landfill, so it's a really good response and we get good feedback.
As lucrative as it has been for the council, many residents in the area would argue that it's just not been worthwhile for them, with only 60% of recyclers having signed up to this points-based scheme.
I think it's a bit laborious, really, because I have to log on to the site and then I have to, and the vouchers aren't that valuable.
We recycle everything, food and blue bin as well, so our black bin is virtually empty at the end of the week.
I tried to sign up 4 years ago when they first started, but nothing ever happened. whilst the Secretary of State is offering £5 million for this initiative, he's actually taken away something like 44% from local government funding, which would have helped service the recycling schemes that many Londoners are accustomed to.
Londoners recycle less on average than the rest of the country. This may just be the carrot we need to get us moving. Vanessa Francis, ITV News, Windsor.
Last night was a good one for Tottenham, who are now through to the group stage of the Europa League. Here's the sport roundup.
ITV London Sports Report, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
Spurs had no problems beating the Cypriot side AEL Limassol in the second leg of their play-off. Goals from Harry Kane, Paulinho and Andros Townsend gave them a 3-0 win at White Hart Lane. Spurs won with a tie 5-1 on aggregate. And the draw for the group stage was made this lunchtime. Spurs have been drawn in Group C with Besiktas from Turkey, the Serbians FK Partizan and the Greek side Asteras Tripolis. With 3 days to go until the transfer window closes, Arsene Wenger is refusing to discuss whether he'll be signing a new striker. He revealed this week that Olivier Giroud will be out injured until December, but the Arsenal manager says he has plenty of alternatives.
We have Sanogo, we have of course Sanchez, we have Walcott, we have Podolski, we have still Giroud, who will come back during the season, and I forget maybe one or two. Campbell can play centre forward as well, you know, and of course we can be successful.
Chelsea have said that their players will wear black armbands tomorrow to remember the club's life president, Lord Attenborough, who died on Sunday. The film director was an ardent fan of the Blues. The club is also considering having a permanent memorial to him. And the Chelsea manager has cast doubt on rumours that Fernando Torres will be leaving the club. Earlier this week, AC Milan said they had inquired about signing the Spaniard, but Jose Mourinho believes Torres is still useful.
We need 3 strikers to face the season. He's one of them. I like him as a person. I like him as a player. So if he wants to leave, it's something that he didn't say to me.
Tomorrow, both Crystal Palace and QPR will try to pick up their first points of the Premier League season. Palace are at Newcastle, while QPR meet Sunderland. West Ham play Southampton. Chelsea's game at Everton is the evening kick-off. And on Sunday, Spurs, who are top of the table, play Liverpool, while Arsenal are at Leicester. The ITV News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. Here's a look at what's ahead with Charlene White.
The terror level is raised to severe as the government says Islamic State poses a greater threat than Al-Qaeda. The Prime Minister warns they are planning attacks on the West, possibly by some of the 500 British jihadists who are in Iraq and Syria. Police say time is running out to find seriously ill Ashia King, who was taken out of hospital by his parents and taken to France. The new rules on food for hospital patients in England: more water, more fish, less salt. And why these people are digging for gold on a beach in Folkestone. Find out with Alistair Stewart and me at 6:30. On London, it is time now for a look at the weekend weather forecast. With all the details, here is Lucy Fasami.
Hello to you again, a very good evening. Well, it's been a breezy end this week with a good deal of cloud cover, a better chance of seeing spells of sunshine and brighter skies as we topple our way into the weekend. We've been subjected to this deep area of low pressure today, blustery winds and steady rain through some parts of the north and the west. Horrible conditions here for us. On the other hand, we've just about got away with it. It stayed mostly dry, if a little breezy. Any significant wet weather will tend to fall after dark, you'll be pleased to hear. A bit of a breeze continues tonight, quite blowy out there. A good deal of cloud will prevent temperatures falling too far, so staying relatively mild, nowhere near as chilly as it was some of the nights earlier this month, and any wet weather will be long gone come the small hours. So by and large, not a bad start into the weekend. It's looking promising. Staying dry, patches of blue sky, spells of sunshine developing all the while. Temperatures are shy, looking 20, 21 degrees at a push, especially in the breeze. We've got to wait until this time next week before things start to slowly warm up. By then, well, feeling more like late summer than early autumn. And in the next few days, mixed fortunes, spells of sunshine for the rest of the weekend. Good news. Thickening cloud will bring some rain on Monday before the sunshine returns on Tuesday, and slowly warming up by midweek. I'll see you again soon.
Now, for those of you who brave the daily commute on public transport, what do you think is the most irritating habit of fellow passengers? A new survey has revealed the most annoying things commuters do. To find out what they are, log on to our website at itv.com/London, then visit our Facebook page to let us know which is your particular bugbear. Finally this evening, if I say East 17, you might immediately be thinking of the pop band from the 1990s. But would you know which part of London has that postcode? In the latest in our series, End of the Line, Martin Stew has travelled to the northeastern end of the Victoria Line to Walthamstow.
7.5 miles northeast of the city centre and at the end of the Victoria Line.
This is Walthamstow Central, where this train terminates.
One of the first things you see and hear as you leave the station is the daily market.
Come on! It's a multinational place, it's cosmopolitan, people are very friendly.
I was actually born and raised there. I think it's it's a homely place. Down those sides can be a bit rough, but now Walthamstow's quiet down. I think it's more quiet, it's more elderly friendly. I think it's more, for the older generation. It's kind of aged, in my opinion.
As well as the market, there's the increasingly trendy Walthamstow village.
Here you've got anything that you want, and the shops, it's the longest street market in Europe. It's up in the village, it's much more community. There's a lot of little independent people that are sort of outside the box, a lot of creative people, plus we've got a lot of history.
Recent history includes the now closed dog track and the boy band named after the postcode East 17. Other than Brian Harvey, the town's most famous son is William Morris, who spent his formative years growing up in this house. From here, he witnessed the poverty in London caused by the Industrial Revolution.
He saw the destruction of families, he saw the destruction of individuals, workers, who were locked into the factories and the darker side of the Industrial Revolution. And he also saw very clearly the loss of skills. To be thrown into a factory and mass producing was not his way of running a decent, equitable and fair society.
Morris went on to become a leading socialist thinker and the forefather of the arts and crafts movement. His philosophy can be summed up a bit like this.
A house should be full of things that are useful and beautiful. That was really one of his main sayings, which probably gets rid of most men in the country, but there we are.
Another man interested in beauty is neon artist Chris Bracey.
I did that for Stanley Kubrick for Eyes Wide Shut. That hotel sign there, I did that for Tim Burton for the first Batman film with Jack Nicholson. That red neon sign Stark, I made that for Captain America and Iron Man.
Now his works are world famous, but 37 years ago he started making the first neon signs for adult stores in Soho.
People used to say to me like, why is this place in Walthamstow? Why celebrities buying stuff from Walthamstow? But, it's got to be made somewhere. You've got to be based somewhere. Walthamstow's as good as any other city on the planet, I've been here all my life in Walthamstow. There's nothing wrong with Walthamstow. It's all right. It's a great place.
And plenty of others agree. Demand for housing has seen property prices in Walthamstow rise 26% in 1 year, making this town at the end of the Victoria Line the hottest property market in the country.
And that is all from the London team for now. Stay with us for the national and international news with Alistair Stewart and Charlene White.